So, how does this tie into the Green Lantern? The Green Lantern is metaphor for collective revolutionary agency. In the mythology of Green Lantern, each lantern wields a ring powered by will, but the body of the system lies not in individual heroes, but in the corpse, a distributed body stretched across space. Several parallels emerge. Green Lantern. So, this is the sort of parallels between Maoist political ideology and the Green Lantern when you think about it. So, individual ring bearers, local revolutionary movements, the Green Lantern Corps, International Leftist Alliance, the emotional spectrum of will, collective revolutionary consciousness, threats like Sinestro Corps, global systems of domination. Okay, so in the last video I introduced you to my Substack, and now I'm going to be presenting a foundational sort of argument that I have. It's a video version of one of my essays for my Substack section, Kohatu, which I'm basically going to argue that for the need for a united international left. And so this is my case. I'm going to be using Matua Mao Zedong, yes, but I'm also going to be using the comic book of The Green Lantern. And I love The Green Lantern. The Green Lantern is one of my favorite comics ever, and so I'm going to be using that. And so I hope you enjoy this video, even if you disagree with it. So, Mao, contradiction and the need for unity. So, for Mao, political struggle unfolds through contradictions inside a living body of history. In his essay on contradiction, Matua Mao Zedong argues that contradictions run everywhere like veins through flesh, but not every vein carries the same blood, so to speak, strictly speaking. So, what exactly does this mean? Well, some contradictions are antagonistic, like a poison in the bloodstream, while others are non-antagonistic, more like the tension between muscles pulling across the same bones. So sort of when you do flexibility training, for example, that's a contradiction, but it's not necessarily poisonous, okay? So the key strategic principle from Matua Mao is, quote, unite the many to defeat the few, end of quote. For Matua Mao, revolutionary success requires broad alliances across internal differences, and so disagreements among leftist groups, secondary contradictions, they are like the small grinding of teeth within the same jaw. The primary contradiction lies with systems of exploitation, imperialism, capitalism, domination, which have behaved more like parasites lodged in the organs. Thus, the Maoist argument for international unity is the following. Number one, capitalism and imperial power operate globally like a disease circulating through the arteries of the world. Number two, fragmented international left fights locally like organs cut off from shared blood and therefore loses strategically. Number three, therefore the international left must form a united front across nations and ideologies, treating internal disputes as secondary contradictions, mere saliva between the tongue and teeth within the same mouth. So, how does this tie into the Green Lantern? Well, we're going to get into that. So, number two, Green Lantern is metaphor for collective revolutionary agency. So, in the mythology of Green Lantern, each lantern wields a ring powered by will, but the body of the system lies not in individual heroes, but in the corpse, a distributed body stretched across space. Several parallels emerge. Green Lantern. So this is the sort of parallels between Maoist political ideology and the Green Lantern when you think about it. So individual ring bearers, local revolutionary movements, the Green Lantern Corps, International Leftist Alliance, the emotional spectrum of will, collective revolutionary consciousness, threats like Sinestro Corps, global systems of domination. A single lantern is powerful but limited, like a lone bone without the skeleton around it. A corpse coordinated across sectors is something different. It resembles a living organism whose organs, share blood, nerves, and breath. Similarly, a single national movement may resist exploitation, like a kidney straining alone to filter poisoned blood, but capital moves globally, flowing like circulatory fluid through the world body. Only coordinated international struggle can counter it, like organs working together to keep the body alive. Thus, the Lantern Corps dramatizes Mahatma Mao's United Front principle. Power rises from coordinated will flowing through many bodies like shed blood through branching veins, so to speak. No. This is where we sort of get Mahatma Martin Heidegger. How the hell does he sort of play into this, okay? So, this is point number 3. Mahatma Heidegger, being with and historical destiny. So, before we go any further, I have to explain something. When Mahatma Heidegger talks about time and being, he's not talking about space and time and being in an objective sense, in the sense that it's a thing detached from humanity, but rather time is intimately tied to humanity for Mahatma Heidegger. What does this mean exactly? So, basically, he's not so much interested in the A theory of time or the B theory of time. The idea that time is either linear or sort of all at once, some kind of four-dimensional block, if you will. Rather, he's interested in the human relationship to time, a relationship to it, our perception of it, and so on and so forth. That is what Mahatma Heidegger means by being and time, especially when he spells them with a capital letter to begin with. And so, for him, the uppercase being is the human concept of what it means to be, whereas the lowercase being is the more objective sort of, A theory, B theory, that type of thing. So now that we have Martin Heidegger out of the way, sort of explained, so the philosophical grounding deepens with Mahatma Heidegger's concept of Mitsein, that is, being with. So Mahatma Heidegger once said, quote, "The world is always the one that I share with others." Meaning human existence is never isolated. It is more like organs sharing the same bloodstream, or teeth that only make sense within the working jaw. This insight has political implications. If human existence is fundamentally shared, then social fragmentation is not merely strategic failure, it is ontological dismemberment, like a body whose veins have been severed. Mahatma Heidegger also said, quote, "With regards to historical destiny, a people only becomes a people when it grasps its destiny," end of quote. And so for Maoists, the proletariat or oppressed classes globally becomes historical only when it recognizes the same blood circulating through its scattered limbs. It begins to move as one body. Thus, without unity, the oppressed remain scattered individuals, like bones lying apart from the skeleton. With unity, they become a historical organism, a body that can bite, speak, and move. Point 4. Synthesis. Mao Zedong and Green Lantern and Martin Heidegger. So we sort of come together, okay? The argument can now be assembled as, quote, premise one, Martha Mao, political struggle is structured by contradictions. Revolutionary strategy requires uniting broad forces against the principal enemy, like organs coordinating to purge a toxin from the bloodstream. Premise 2. A Green Lantern metaphor. So this is a rather interesting one. Excuse me, some sort of technical difficulties there, but anyway, moving on. So the synthesis, Martha Mao, Green Lantern, and Martha Heidegger. So this is my favorite part of the argument. So political struggle, premise one, Martha Mao, is structured by contradictions. Revolutionary strategy requires uniting broad forces against the principal enemy, like organs coordinating to purge a toxin from the bloodstream. Premise 2, Green Lantern metaphor. Distributed actors wielding power independently are weak compared to a coordinated corps operating across territories, just as isolated organs fail without shared circulation. Premise 3, Martha Heidegger. Human existence is fundamentally being with others, more like a living body than a pile of bones, and collective historical action emerges only when people grasp their shared destiny. So, the conclusion, therefore, international leftist unity is not merely strategic convenience, but political necessity. Mao Zedong, like a body defending itself against infection, is structurally powerful. That is the Green Lantern metaphor. Like blood pulsing through a complete organism and ontologically grounded in human existence. That's Martha Heidegger, like teeth, tongue, and jaw forming a single mouth that can finally speak or bite, eat. It's an aggressive sort of act. Okay, and 5. So this is sort of at the end. So when we look at the Green Lantern Oath, it's a revolutionary sort of allegory, if you will. The Green Lantern Oath captures the spirit of collective will. Quote, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. When you think about it. So, reinterpreted politically, the oath becomes a metaphor for international solidarity, a shared commitment that travels through movements like blood through arteries, binding scattered limbs into one living body. Where Martha Mao provides strategy and Martha Heidegger provides ontology, the Green Lantern myth provides imagination, a narrative skeleton clothed in muscle and skin that lets us see how dispersed agents become a unified force. Final insights. This is my final sort of thing that I have to offer to you. International unity is not about eliminating differences. So Martha Mao would say those differences are secondary contradictions, the small friction of teeth against teeth within the same jaw. The real task is building something like a political lantern corps, a coordinated global body where each movement keeps its local ring of power, so to speak, while contributing to a larger revolutionary organism whose veins, organs, bones, and breath move together. No reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.